understand it, Synop is an operating system for fleet operators that helps them with their optimization needs, charging, allocation of vehicles, and other needs. I don't know if I misstated your what you do, but why don't you take it away, Andrew and Gagan?
Yeah, no, appreciate the introduction, Howard. Nice to meet everybody, and appreciate you guys willing to give us a chance to share more about what Synop is. You know, as Howard mentioned, we are building the operating system for commercial EVs. If I may, I will share my screen and take us all through, you know, just a brief deck on what it is that we're building here, along with my partner Andrew. So we've been around for about 6 months. We launched earlier this summer with backgrounds from the fleet and computer science space. We both you know, left our jobs and decided we wanted to go pursue something in the EV world, which is where we believe the future is, and where everybody else on this call, I know, believes the future is as well. So, you know, our mission here at Synop is to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation industry, and the tools that we've built rapidly help scale the electrification process across fleets across the world. That is the #1 thing that we are working on as a company. You know, the one thing that we recognize and a lot of our customers recognize is that electrification is the greatest shift to happen in the auto industry since its invention. And what we've built here is an end-to-end charge management and fleet operation tool that helps accelerate that shift. You know, I think the key to what we are doing is 2 things. We have combined charge management with fleet operations to help accelerate how fleet operators go through the day in and day out process of managing commercial EVs. The reason we're building this tool is we find time and time again, and have found time and time again, that electrifying commercial vehicles is a brand new challenge for commercial fleet operators who've typically had these challenges in the diesel world. But when you think about the introduction of commercial EVs, you think about 3 pain points everybody encounters. You have tools that, you know, you have a requirement for tools that enable charge management. You need to understand how EV operations are going across your fleet. And then you also have this need for energy management, right? And more often than not, today in the market, a charge management tool, an energy management or EV operation tool, they don't really speak to one another. They might be disparate systems. They might be separate companies selling a piece of each to a fleet operator. And you sort of have a lot of challenges in the space that our fleet customers certainly are going through, and a lot of others are as well. What they really struggle with, right, are 3 main things. So it's the ability for you to have charge and fleet operation tools that are connected to one another. So my charge management system informs how my fleets run, how they run, and how long they run for. That is a big gap in the market. You know, we find that a lot of the solutions in the market today don't really offer a lot of interoperability. By that, we mean you either sit inside a confined ecosystem for a charging partner, you sit inside, you know, an ecosystem for a specific OEM. You know, there isn't really anything out there that connects, you know, and is agnostic to charging and agnostic to hardware. And then the other thing that we're finding a lot is that the telemetry data is difficult to utilize for EVs, right? So the EV data coming off of a vehicle, whether it be a bus that's electric, a garbage truck that's electric, or a truck that's electric, you're not getting EV specific data that is going to help you make informed decisions on how to operate that vehicle day in and day out, right? So what we decided to do is build a solution that at its core is an end-to-end integrated charge management solution that combines charging infrastructure with vehicle telematics to give you an operating system to manage the day in and day out operation of a commercial fleet all in one place. It's charging infrastructure agnostic, it's hardware agnostic, and it makes it extremely easy for you as a fleet operator to plan your charging sessions, plan your routes, and have all of that live in one place to electrify a commercial fleet.
Right, and you know, the union of the charge management and telematic systems, that's really where we start to do a lot of value add. So on the charging side, we have the fundamental unit is the OCPP integrations, and then rolling those up from a charger to a collection of chargers, as well as the orchestration layer, which can take signals from the Synop intelligence layer that Dhillon mentioned, and then being able to intelligently distribute charging profiles and things like that based on the work that a fleet has to do today, tomorrow, middle of December, whatever the scenario might be. It's agnostic to the underlying hardware. It quote unquote plugs right into our infrastructure, and should be very easy, intuitive to not only manage manually from a human perspective, but also have the human in the loop interpreting the signals that we generate from the context vehicles operate in, and then applying that to the real world. And just touching on the second part of this, and what we've deployed is reading the telematics off of the vehicles themselves. So we've had to integrate with a couple of different telematics providers, OEMs, et cetera. But what it does do is I can look at the state of charge of a vehicle throughout the entire day while it's operating, as well as understand that, okay, looking around the corner to tomorrow, based on this vehicle's behavior, knowing how much I need to charge it in order to A, unblock that charger for other vehicles, B, optimize the cost for charging, but also not risk my ability to use an electric vehicle to execute a route or a collection of routes tomorrow. So really these two pieces work together to put electric vehicles in a position to succeed in commercial use cases.
Sorry, I think my screen share might be frozen here. There we go. So like we mentioned earlier, we launched this product in the end of summer, around August. Since then, we found some very strong traction in the market, specifically across these customer segments. So we have multiple customers in the electric bus space, fleets that we are operating for today, mostly on the East Coast. We're finding a lot of traction with customers in the electric parcel and delivery van space. These customers include fleet operators, as well as OEMs that are EV OEMs developing these solutions, who are using Synop as their fleet operations tool and their charge management tool for their customers. We have a handful of partners in the electric truck space. These are mostly electric fleets that are using, a handful of electric trucks right now. And then we are also starting to find traction with infrastructure partners, both on the utility side and the charging infrastructure side. So the one thing that I want to mention about, what we're seeing from a traction perspective, this market is very, very early, as I think we all recognize on this call. But for us, we're seeing some big commitments from partners to date, especially on the busing and delivery van side. That's where we think the focus for our product and the roadmap over the next 12 to 18 months is going to be, because that's where we see the most demand to date.
Hey, Gagan, so just to interrupt briefly. So when you say this market is very early and it's changing quickly, so I'm curious, where do you see this headed in 2 to 5 years? Because, I don't see any taxi fleets in here, for example.
Yeah, so what I mean by, the market is early is more along the lines of, the deployment size of customers is pretty small right now, and it's going to scale up. From our perspective, taxi fleets is something that's on our roadmap, probably in a 2-year. There's obviously companies like Revel and a couple of others that have started all electric taxi fleets. We've had some conversations there, but for us, where we're seeing the most traction and where we think the biggest need, it's definitely on the electric bus side. Those could be school buses and municipal buses. And then on the electric delivery van side, which is powering the last mile growth right now.
Right. Thank you.
Yep. And then just to give you guys a sense of where we are from a customer growth perspective, right now we're at 5 live customers. We have about 100 electric vehicles that we're managing actively on the platform. That's expected to balloon to about 500 in Q2 of next year. A lot of this is constrained by supply chain issues, which I'm sure you guys are hearing a lot. But for our customers who have orders for EVs in place, it is more of a delivery timeline and when they can start to put those vehicles on the road than anything else. So that's kind of where we are from an expected ramp up. I think the one thing we've seen very clearly over the last, I want to say 60 days or so in our business is a lot of acceleration around, our ability to work with busing partners and our ability to work with turnkey fleet operators, which is, you have a pretty growing segment in the electric vehicle space of folks that are owning the infrastructure, owning the assets, and then building these turnkey businesses for existing fleets or new fleets, and they need software to power those solutions. And so we are the software that they are looking for to power those solutions. And we're seeing some really strong traction amongst players in that space. And then I think the other thing to add here, our largest commitment to date on here says 250 assets, is actually closer to 550 assets now. So that's our largest single customer, is about 550 assets to date. That'll be on the platform next year. To give you a sense of where we're going from a product roadmap perspective, right? So the current focus for us is definitely on the charge management and fleet operations side, and being able to marry the two together in a single platform, which is what we've done. It's live in the market today, being used by customers. Definitely for us, from a future roadmap perspective, we're working on and building out our energy management side of the business. So that's our ability to build out smart dynamic energy management tools. It's our ability to build out demand charge management tools, and then be able to eventually build out integrated route management to give you that end-to-end platform experience you need as a fleet operator. And then finally, we're very, very focused on enhanced telematics as well. You know, one of the key things we found in this market from an EV vehicle standpoint is it's not readily available for you to get access to key telemetry data from an EV perspective, just because it's not built into the APIs or product sets that fleets and OEMs have built out. So we've been doing a lot of that legwork with ELD companies, with telematic providers, to get access to that data and into our platform. The business model, just to give everybody a sense, you know, there's definitely a focus on OEM and fleets, much more so on fleets right now, but we do have a handful of OEM partners. You know, for us, this is priced as a traditional asset management solution, where there's a monthly license fee and then a per asset, a monthly per asset fee as well. That ranges anywhere from about $39 a month up to $99 a month in the highest case. And you know, for us, these contracts that we have with partners to date are enterprise mid six-figure contracts. So you know, we feel pretty good about the market size and what customers are willing to pay for a solution like this, and have shown that they're willing to pay for a solution like this to date. Give you guys a sense of our company to date. So myself and Andrew started this in technically, I think, June of this year. We're starting to build out a small engineering team in the New York City area, which is where we're based. Over the summer, or late summer, actually, we raised a pre-seed round of $1.5 million that was led by Better Ventures, with participation from Wireframe Ventures, Plug and Play, and a couple of other smaller investors. We are not actively fundraising, but we are looking to see what our options are going into 2022 from a funding perspective. We feel really well capitalized to date, but we also recognize that this is a market where we're viewing and seeing a lot of opportunity, and evaluating how us taking on additional capital can help accelerate our product roadmap. We feel like the product is really the key, and where we want to invest a lot of our time and resources going forward. We feel very, very good about where it is today, but we want to continue to enhance that part of our business. So just to make sure everybody has a sense of where we are from a company perspective. Last slide, competitive landscape from our view. Definitely something that we're finding in the market as we go up against a lot of these, customers and potential competitors. I think the one thing, if you take away from Synop today, is this is we are building the plumbing for commercial EVs, right? We want to be as easy as possible to use with any type of infrastructure that's out there. And we want to make sure that we marry both charge and fleet operations in one place. And that's something that just is not out there in the market today. We've heard that time and time again from customers. It's allowed us to win some very competitive and large deals to date as a startup that's 5 months old, because we offer that today in a live instance that works and you can put assets onto within a 24-hour period, right? That is definitely what's helped us be very competitive and differentiate this product in the market today.
Hey, Gagan, can I just ask you, on the 2 slides ago, you were referring to your relationships with OEMs. So trying to understand, what kind of relationships or services would you be offering OEMs?
Yeah, so from an OEM perspective, right, a lot of these OEMs are, and I want to be clear, we're talking about a lot of these electric delivery or electric OEMs that are either new or, newer to the market. So,
in other words, they're not just manufactured, they're running they're going to be running their own fleets too. That's what you're saying.
Yes. And they are looking for software to run those fleets, right? I think Rivian's a great example. What Rivian's doing in the market is what every other electric OEM is looking to do in the market. Rivian has a great advantage on the software side that these other OEMs don't have and are looking for.
Okay, I got it. One other last question. I mean, since we have a little time, if no others have questions. So do you somehow integrate with the management of charging stations themselves, who themselves have software, as I understand it, to manage their charging stations? I mean, how do you talk to charging stations somehow?
Yeah, so we so we have our OCPP APIs and endpoints, and we point directly to the chargers. So that's like the most fundamental unit in Synop on the charge management side is the charger itself, pointed at our OCPP endpoint, and then the roll up to depot and orchestration happens from there.
But you're not yet helping the charging stations themselves manage their operations.
So what do you mean by operations? Like, for example, our customers will apply different charging profiles, different periods of the day for different assets and things like that.
Yeah, so I think I've run into a few startups that actually provide software to owners of charging stations, networks of charging stations.
Yeah, we are not on that side of it just yet, Howard. I think this is much more for us. It's the private fleets that are operating depots. That's where we're sitting in the market right now.
Right, understood. Any other questions out there? Okay, terrific. Thanks so much for the presentation. Very complete and thorough. I'm assuming that one of you two will be coming to Bonny Doon next week.
Yeah, that'll be me. I'm looking forward to it and excited.
Looking forward to it as well, Gagan. All right,
Awesome.
thank you again.
Appreciate everybody.
Thank you.